Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler both got injured in week 4. That's going to put fantasy football managers pressing against the waiver wire to find some replacements. Here to break them down is SI senior fantasy football analyst Michael Fabiano. Fabs, every Sunday night, you and I are back and forth all day, texting each other. Kind of slim pickings this week, but still we have plenty of players to suggest. Let's start off with the quarterbacks.
All right, let's do that with Justin Herbert, who has looked pretty good, man. I wasn't a big believer in him coming out of college, but so far so good. Very good on Sunday, 20 of 25, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, 23 points against the Buccaneers. Has now given you 20-plus fantasy points in 2 of his first 3 NFL starts. And, Bill, the schedule is great. He's got New Orleans, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Jaguars in the next 4 weeks. Giddy up, pick up the Chargers quarterback. And then Teddy Bridgewater. Very good performance against the Cardinals, nearly 27 fantasy points. Now, he's not a big fantasy football quarterback. He doesn't put up huge numbers typically, but listen to this schedule here. Atlanta, Chicago, a tough matchup, Saints, and then Atlanta again. So Bridgewater should be owned in some leagues, especially with the bye weeks coming up.
Gotta love that NFC South where defense is optional. Good schedule there for Bridgewater. Let's go over to the running backs because, like I mentioned, Chubb and Eckler managers, they're going to need to find replacements. Who do you think they should take a look at?
Joshua Kelly's probably not out there in competitive leagues. In fact, he's not out there in competitive leagues. But if you're in a home league, he could be floating around out there. And with Austin Eckler dealing with an injury right now, Kelly needs to be owned in 100% of leagues across the board. He didn't do much today against the Buccaneers, but he is going to get a lot of carries moving forward. And then Justin Jackson, he looks like he's going to be number 2 there behind Joshua Kelly. He had 8 touches against the Buccaneers. And again, with Eckler out, Jackson will see more opportunities both on the ground, potentially as a pass catcher out of the backfield as well. So pick him up. Dearness Johnson had a nice game against the Cowboys, although, I mean, every running back, hell, Ernest Biner could have came out of retirement and rushed for 100 yards against the Cowboys. Their defense is absolute garbage, but Nick Chubb got banged up, and there's got to be a number 2 there. Kevin Stefanski loves to run the football, so Dearness Johnson may be worth an ad off the waiver wire. And then Reggie Bonifant, why? Well, look how well Mike Davis is playing. He's been like Christian McCaffrey 2.0. If something should happen to Mike Davis, Bonifant is the next man up in an offense that's been very fantasy-friendly for running backs, dating back to McCaffrey and now to Mike Davis.
All right, let's move over to the wide receiver position. That T. Higgins, couple back-to-back weeks for the rookie from the Bengals. He's shown a lot of good rapport with fellow rookie Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and where's A.J. Green? I mean, he's on a milk carton, dude. I mean, at this point, it's crazy. I'd rather have T. Higgins, right? 7 targets, 77 yards, 13 points against the Jaguars. Now, over the last 2 weeks, 16 targets, 9 catches, 2 touchdowns, and better than A.J. Green. That's crazy, but T. Higgins needs to be owned. Tim Patrick, let's not forget the performance that he put up on Thursday night against the Jets. 7 targets, 6 catches, over 100 yards and a touchdown, over 23 fantasy points. And the Broncos, well, they're hurting at wide receiver. Cortland Sutton, we know, is already out. KJ Hamler is also banged up as well. Traquan Smith had another good game. 4 catches, 2 touchdowns. That's efficiency, my friends. Over 21 fantasy points. He has now scored 13-plus points in 2 of his last 3 games without Michael Thomas. Now, Michael Thomas could be back sooner rather than later, but until he's back, Traquan needs to be owned in all fantasy leagues. Some other guys, Cole Beasley, he's only owned in 20% of leagues on ESPN. Hunter Renfrow, Laviska Shenault, Scotty Miller while Chris Godwin is out, and then David Moore in deeper leagues of the Seattle Seahawks because Russ, well, he's cooking right now, so the wide receivers are certainly benefiting.
Always seems like there's plenty of wide receivers to pick up. I wish that was the case for running backs. Nonetheless, let's move on. Tight ends, who are you looking to pick up this week?
Dalton Schultz, he was in my stardom column this past week. I said to play him, and he had a great game against the Browns. 8 targets, 4 catches, 50 yards, over 17 fantasy points. He's now had 24 targets over the last 3 weeks. I don't know why this guy is still available in over 60% of leagues on ESPN. Go out and get him. And then Mo Alley Cox for the Colts, right? He only had 2 targets. One of them was a touchdown. He's averaged 13 fantasy points over his last 3 games. So if you're in a deeper league, Mo Alley Cox is worth a look. Same thing with Drew Sample, who had 5 targets on Sunday, 7.7 fantasy points against the Jaguars. But Joe Burrow likes to throw to his tight ends. And then one more. Let me slip in one more here, okay? Because kickers don't get enough love. Rodrigo Blankenship. This guy scored 13 points against the Raiders. He has 12 field goal conversions this year. He has scored at least 10 fantasy points in 3 straight games, and he's not owned in 50% of leagues. Come on, man. I know it's a rookie kicker, but kickers matter. Points is points, Bill. So if you want to get a kicker, check out Rodrigo Blankenship. That's right. We go deep here at SI Fantasy.
And if you want more of Michael Fabiano's excellent fantasy football analysis, you can get plenty of it for less than 40 cents a day. Become a member of SI Fantasy Plus. Go to si.com/fantasy for more info.